Hello everyone, Wolf125 here with a Warframe rant video that I'm sure a lot of other YouTubers are currently doing at the current moment, and probably will be continuously up until the point of Plains of Vidiri, or whatever it is Disney decided to call it. And I wanted this video to be a professional rant. I don't want to be there any swearing or insulting of the Digital Extremes team, because I don't feel any true value in that, as most of those tend to be ignored. After a tweet from DE Steve after Rahadalius was putting criticism towards the team, and it didn't like the fact that his team was being insulted. So if by some miracle, if by some God-given miracle that this video is seen by Digital Extremes, please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Please don't see that I feel like I could do anything better. You guys are more than likely making decisions primarily for business reasons and not necessarily for community reasons like it used to be. You guys have gotten very huge very quickly in the past 7 years of making Warframe, and I can't thank you enough for the incredible experience that this game has given me and everybody else that I've managed to meet and game with and have fun with, and teach them the way of the Tenno and how to build, how to fight Eidolons, how to do fissure runs properly and make videos, make build videos. Thank you so much for the hard work that you put into this game, but I wanted to give my criticism in a professional manner, seeing as to how I really feel like things haven't been going, not necessarily the way that I things want, or that any other player kind of wants, or that the YouTubers want. It's just, there's a concurring culture to Warframe, a concurring type of update schedule that I'm not very appreciative of, and that being of a consistent bringing of new content, consistent release of new content that is just, it's a new grind, it's another new grind, it's another new grind, it's another new grind, more new resources and more materials, more things to grind for. And I've just, a while back I made a video called 10 Reasons Why We Don't Need Warframes, because one of the major reasons in that video was there's already enough to grind for in Warframe, there's already enough to chase after, there's god rolls on ribbons, there's stuff in relics, there's plenty of people that need help in Warframe, there's plenty of things that need to be revised, revisited, redesigned in Warframe to make them more linear, to make them more, not necessarily simplistic, but more understandable, more attractive to newer players, and that way they invest more time into it. And following the release of Scarlet Spear, there was a massive backlash to Digital Extremes because of Scarlet Spear, ideally because of two reasons. Number one, it being another big buggy mess, just like Railjack was, and number two was poor design. And what I mean by that is, when you go into the Scarlet Spear relay, when you go into the flotilla, where the little duck is at, there are Murex waves, and for every time there's a Murex wave, you have a certain amount of time to drive a certain way of Murex, and unless you don't reach that, you won't get the Scarlet Spear bonus. So in order to get the Murex driven away, the space crew have to receive ground codes from the ground teams, so you have to make the assumption that the flotilla that you go to is going to be populated with players, with people who know how to build things, what the current meta is on how to send kill codes to the space team efficiently, and making sure that you're doing your job as another faithful Tenno to make sure you're doing Operation Scarlet Spear efficiently. And many people would say, well, Warframe isn't always about being efficient, it's primarily about having fun. It's a video game. It's meant to be having fun. And somebody who's been playing for a very long time, I don't feel like I'm having much fun if I'm not getting things done efficiently, because I've gotten so far into the game. I've collected a lot of things. I've got a lot of platinum now, and I'm always trying to hold giveaways. I'm trying to make content for other players to hopefully come to me in their time of need if they can't figure something out, whether it be something ridiculous or something simplistic, something very easy they could look at themselves, but I still try to help out because I love this game. There's so much hidden potential in this game than any other game I've ever played in the entirety of my life. I've never invested more time into anything than I have into Warframe, to be quite honest. So the current footage that you're seeing is me and a few other friends that I managed to finally get into an Eidolon hunting claim with. We could capture 15 Eidolons in one night, and it's been an absolute blast so far, up until Scarlet Spear had released, because now the rewards for Scarlet Spear, when you get Scarlet Spear credits, is you can buy Arcanes. And I feel that was just a really big spit in the Eidolon hunting community's faces, because I'm on the Xbox One platform, and there aren't that many Eidolon hunters, people who know how to do a 5x3 or a 4x3, capture 12 Eidolons or 15 Eidolons in a single night. And because we're able to do things so quickly and so efficiently when it comes to Eidolons and obtaining arcanes and everything is more related to RNG, even after the mainline update, arcanes requiring 21 to get to max rank, it's still a pretty sizable grind. It's still a pretty sizable task to complete, considering the fact that to get to rank 5, like I said, you need 21 arcanes. And that's mainly the only grind there is now. It is to try and become stronger and to try and become plat rich. People will always say fashion frame is endgame for Warframe. It just doesn't. Half of you probably don't understand how to do Eidolons in the first place, and that's not me being a snob. It's just there's a lot of people who don't know how to explore the rest of the game. They say that people will say that they get bored of Warframe, but there's still always plenty to do. There's always still plenty more to discover, but it's just there's no team orientation or team encouragement. Like with the new, it's not new, but on the Kuva Lich update, you could do a Kuva Requiem Fissure Survival, and what people don't know is that you get scaling rewards in that. So you could possibly do a 4-hour run to an 8-hour run and get lots and lots of Kuva, because the rewards will continuously scale, especially if you had a resource booster and a Smedica vat, and if you also had the correct team to go for that certain length of time. So what my biggest personal issue with Warframe is, new content keeps dropping that isn't finished, that isn't ready to be quite released. There's tons of groundbreaking bugs that just make it absolutely infuriating. The servers are just absolute ass sometimes. There's a bug currently in Eidolons, even after Scarlet Spear being dropped, still hasn't been fixed, where you will go into Arcwing, you'll press B to get out of it, and then you can't do anything. The only thing you can do is walk and open the menus. That's it. You can't use the unstuck command. You have to summon your K drive, and hopefully you don't fall through the floor, and that fixes it. So, but if you don't have a K drive in your gear, well, guess what? You're screwed. Digital Extremes has openly admitted through passive means they don't play their own game, and except for Pablo, the guy who reworked Saren, who created a lot of the cooler frames like Nidus and Octavia. He created a lot of much better frames that synergized well with each other and that worked well. So I'm trying not to sound like I'm rambling on here too much, but I love Warframe. It's this and Skyrim right now are pretty much the only two games that I play, because I'm not a fan of the big corporatization of newer game studios and how everything is just about microtransactions and loot boxes and DLCs. I'm kind of an old soul. I like how you get what you pay for, but in this case with Warframe, you don't pay for anything because it's a free game. And many people would use that argument to say, well, you can't complain if it's a free game. Well, yes, I can, because I'm the one who's invested a lot of my time into it. I put money into it. I've given Digital Extremes probably $300 to $350 of my own money, buying platinum, helping out other players, and learning how to edit and learning how to record like I am right now. That's time that I put towards trying to make the game a better place for all. And even me being a small YouTuber, I don't have many subscribers or many views or many Twitch followers or anything like that, but I make this video not because I want the intention, but because I just want to make a difference in a game that just has so much raw content and potential in it that deserves to be put under new light and redesigned. That, like, there's so many things in Warframe that could be given a new purpose, I guess, is probably the best phrase to use. There's vault running, there's Kuva farming, there's the bosses in the game, there's Eidolon hunting, there's Fortuna, there's Plains of Eidolon, everything that could be given more complex mechanics, better rewards, possible better lore explanation, maybe going back to quests as to how certain things were invented, like Samaris's Sanctuary and Elite Sanctuary Onslaught. There's so many things in this game that I really want to be revisited, revamped, and added more things into, because the amount of fun that you could have. I used to be a big time player of Destiny, the first Destiny. It was after Lords of Iron, I think, had dropped. I started playing the hell out of it because the new raid was an absolute incredible fun time. It was a great game to play, and it required cooperation between you and your teammates. It required communication. It required a lot of patience getting the correct team together to making sure you did things the correct way. And Eidolons is one of the biggest reasons I like to stick to Warframe right now, is because it has complexity to it. And now the rewards that Arcanes are in Scarlet Spear, they're going to be irrelevant, even after the event dropping, pretty much. Not necessarily the Arcanes themselves, but trying to gather them to sell. I made 7k platinum, 5 to 7k platinum in one day after the new Titania Prime Access had dropped, because of the amount of people that bought Prime Access, and I was able to sell some Arcanes to people. And I played the game, got the Arcanes, and sold those Arcanes to people. But it wasn't an easy grind. It was something that was complex, that required communication, that required a method, that required getting the right people together for the right time, and just doing things efficiently. And I appreciate that. I want more of that. I want more of complexity added into Warframe with ESO, with arbitrations, 2 resources that got left behind, like the flawless sentient cores you get here, like Fortuna, like Orvalis and the Plains of Eidolon. Like, there's so much. That's what every YouTuber, every other content creator says. There is so much raw content and raw potential with this game that it just, you don't want to go away from it. And it makes me sad that just feel the need to consistently cater to the newer players who want new Tenogen, who want new content, who want something new to grind for. And I'm sitting here with, this is probably a rookie numbers to even some of the other veteran players. I have almost 2,500 hours put into this game, and I don't have every god roll ribbon. I don't have a extra rank 5 of every single arcane, even after playing many Eidolons, because it's a hell of a grind. But it's a fun grind, because it's fun. Especially when you get the right team together. I've never had more fun in my life doing these Eidolon runs. So now that I have like a really good proper team, it's a great rewarding feeling out of doing something complex, out of something that's complicated, something that requires you to communicate with other people, getting the proper team together to make sure you can get the job done. Scarlet Spear is fun. It's a lot of fun. I actually do like Scarlet Spear, and I like the fact that there were good rewards to it, but I don't think Arcanes was exactly the best idea, because now, after being in this clan for about 2 months, maybe a month or so, we're all just kind of dumbfounded on what we have to do next. We're just going to have to farm the hell out of Kuva. We're going to have to open relics like crazy. We're going to have to farm ducats like crazy. We're going to have to stuff that just sells pretty often in the Warframe market, because probably the most expensive thing in the game, other than a God Roll Riven, was Arcane Energize and Arcane Grace. And even after the Arcane rework, now that we can't stack Arcanes, Arcane Grace and Arcane Energize, they're still the top 2 Arcanes to get. And, I mean, not necessarily for every build, but that's what every person, every newer player is going to be chasing after, because this game is complex. After playing with so many newer players, after playing with people who are just, I'm going to sound like a toxic vet here, but just people who are just freaking brain dead, don't know like how to do math very well. They'll ask somebody, hey, what's your build? And then they'll think that's the only great build in the world. The amount of people I've met that just, primarily a lot of young kids actually. I get bugged by little kids a lot now, because my top video on YouTube has like 20,000 views, and I get a lot of like 9-year-olds and 8-year-olds saying, will you play with me? Will you play with me? I'm like, you shouldn't be playing this game, kid. It's rated M for mature for a reason. But what my main rant is about is I'm never going to stop playing Warframe by any means. You know, a lot of people will probably say, well, just go play a different game. I'm like, well, I could. I am playing Skyrim occasionally here and there, but playing a different game doesn't solve the issue if a lot of your veterans are getting annoyed by it, a lot of content creators are getting annoyed by it, of how a lot of their suggestions are just falling on deaf ears, and you don't create content that's, I guess you could say, fun, because a lot of the vets have gotten used to a more complex, more synergizing way of community when it comes to doing long runs in Warframe, especially Eidolons, and you know, doing 3-hour mot runs, 4-hour mot runs, or whatever, collecting new relics when something gets unvaulted, or when a new Prime Access comes out. People want content, and I get that. But as I said, I was a long-time player of the first Destiny, and what they used to do, they used to recycle the hell out of their own content. And I personally didn't mind that, because although it was content that I recognized, it was content that I had felt before, it was content that I had played before, it had new rewards, it had somewhat newer mechanics, it had something new to it. And whether or not I did it over and over and over again, it still had that slight... It was like trying out a new cheese for the first time. It was like going from American cheese to Gouda cheese, or from American to Swiss on my burger, or something like that, you know? And that's what I want more of. And when it comes to Warframe, I just feel, even with Kuvalich's and Scarlet Spear and the update before that, I honestly can't remember what the hell it was now, because it just wasn't that memorable. I just feel like I'm stuck on American cheese. I'm not. It just feels like the same old grind, the same old builds, the same old frames. Even though that there's tons of new synergizing ways you can do with those builds, is I want an actual challenge to face. I want to be able to have the notion of, I have to put a good team together to work through these mechanics to get the proper build, to make sure that things work out properly and I get the highest reward possible. And that isn't there anymore. Kuvalich's was the #1 thing hated of the content releases in 2019. And if that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what does. Yeah, a lot of people hated Railjack, and that was the second most hated thing in 2019. A lot of people still like Railjack, but having one mode, it was another underdeveloped, early released piece of content that didn't need to come out, that still needed a lot of polish, because they keep having to make these promises that, in the back of my mind, I really think isn't their fault anymore. I don't think it's the people at Digital Extremes. I think these are business decisions telling them, you have to put this out for the sake and purpose of selling more platinum. To hyping people up and making sure that they put their wallet, they throw some more money at the screen. It makes me concerned. Even though I said I'm never going to stop playing Warframe, which I probably won't, I'll probably play it less than I normally do, for the simple fact of the grind, creating new grind, that's not content to me. That's just an excuse to make people to try and play your game more, assuming that they even have the time. And granted, COVID-19 being a massive thing right now, a lot of people are kind of stuck at home, so they got plenty of time to grind. But there's always still something else they can play. The new Final Fantasy VII Remake is out, so they kind of have to put the pedal to the metal to make sure they can put out that content efficiently and effectively. Scarlet Spear, when it came to my absolute first impressions, I was like, this is actually a pretty cool idea. But then when I found out how it actually worked, I was like, this is really, really bad. This isn't a good decision. This should have been more revised, more community friendly, because I know relying on random ground teams, people that you do not know, granted you could talk to them through the relay, I've seen so much toxicity since I've gotten into Scarlet Spear. People yelling at the ground teams, "Where are our codes? Hurry the hell up!" Like lots of cursing and insults being thrown around. I was witness at the other night when I was on stream of the ground teams just not setting the kill codes up. The Murex wave was about to end. We were 2 Murex away from getting to the 10,000 spear bonus, and it's because we didn't have an extra ground team. Because if you have like 9 ground teams and 5 space teams or 4 space teams, but the ground teams don't have great builds, you don't know who they are, you can't rely on them to make sure they get those kill codes properly. It's like, oh, well, that's an idea. That's a lot of our time just kind of going down the drain. There's not much else to say for me other than I love Warframe. I love what it can be. I love what a lot of other veteran players used to say it be, which is an ever-growing, ever-expanding game that they were proud to represent. And now it just feels like it's more business-oriented. And I really hope that, like I said, by some miracle, somebody from DE sees this, and I really hope that that's not the case. Scott, Steve, Rebecca, Megan, all of you, thank you for the incredible game that you guys are designing, and that a lot of you are having to put a lot of your heart and soul into. But if there's anything I could say, please stop coming out with a newer grind, and just please focus on what you have. Please, sincerely, focus on going back on Warframe and reflecting and redesigning on what you already have on vaults, ESOs, arbitrations, Plains of Eidolon, Orb Valis, other kinds of game modes, and just create complexity, create higher tier stuff that has higher rewards, so that way we have a much bigger dragon to chase after, other than just, you know, well-rolled lich weapons and well-rolled rivens and arcanes and relics and everything. I just don't. It always is going to feel rewarding when you get that gold drop from relic, when you get that god roll or riven, or when you finally get that energize, which isn't going to be an issue with Scarlet Spear. It's always rewarding when you do feel that. But please, guys, please, Digital Extremes, go back to your old content, fix what you have, and then most definitely go for the new content. Absolutely, don't go for the new content. But putting new grind after new grind out, it's not personally what a lot of newer players want. It's not what a lot of veteran players want. And I really hope you guys see this. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments section below. This is Wolf125, ending my rant here. Thank you if you made it this far. And remember, buddy, strive proudly and howl loudly. Good night, guys.